it's if we do it right and we keep, our customers happy, we're going to thrive. And I think we can be the best that is around here. Villagevalet.net.
352-469-1446.
So raise your glass, even though he's not the best, but at least he made the top 5.
Welcome to another edition of Lanai Gossip. We're here with Valet.
Village Valet.
Oh my God! Welcome, welcome to Amateur Hour.
Village
Valet.
Welcome to another edition of Lanai Gossip.
So I moved here, bought a house, building my law practice, and I rented out a room in my house. And I always did that in DC too. I had a huge house, had a basement apartment to rent. So I did that, and then I'd have friends come visit, and a couple of friends said, hey, they weren't retired because they were coming up from up north, and hey, if we rent the house out, will you manage it? We'll pay you a fee. So that happened. And then my dad I taught him how to do Airbnb. He was a therapist and he was lonely. So he has a tutu, and he rents still at 81. He's renting a room in his house. A friend of mine, we both have real estate licenses. And I thought, hey, wouldn't it be fun? We could just do a little side business, like 10 properties. And 10 became a lot more. Like I no, but the staff is really great, actually. And Stephanie's been great. We've really turned everything around, streamlined things, very exciting. There have been a lot of property management companies around here that have had horror stories. So I do have an estate planning practice, and I got a random call about a property management, like a snowbird who was coming down last year and had rented and paid half the amount of money, and the company had gone out of business, and the person left with the money. Well, that was just one person and calling for legal help. But that happened to a lot of people, which is really sad. I mean, the company went out of business, but.
So what's a core value that your company's going to take forward to be successful, that you think that you need to be successful in this business? Because you know of companies that haven't succeeded, and people weren't happy with them. So what's your core value that's going to keep you moving forward, that people are going to be happy?
Communication with the owners, communication with the clients, as far as the people who are staying with us. Teresa, who you've spoken to, she is very good with the customers who are calling in. She answers their questions, their concerns. That's one side of it. But also communicating at all times with the homeowners. They want to know what's going on in their home. It's very important to them. So we've instituted Zoom calls 4 times a year, and we get quite a good turnout. We record it, we send it out, we let them know everything that's going on, any changes we've made, and we make changes based on things that we see that need to be changed. How can we streamline? How can we build?
Do you have a contract with a specific cleaning service that you require the homeowner to use your cleaning service since they're contracting with you to rent their house out? Or
so we use certain cleaners.
Okay.
And we've gone through several different ones. That's been a rocky road.
Sure, I understand.
But once you get good cleaners, you keep them, and I don't think that we've really had anybody who hasn't gone with our cleaners. I mean, I think when people hire property managers, they want to say, you take over everything.
Is there any flexibility on that, though? I mean, because some homeowners, they have a cleaning service that they're very comfortable with. They know they do a fantastic job. If they tell you, hey, I'd really like to use this service, are you guys willing to allow that to happen or no?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I mean,
yeah.
I that's how I run a business, period. Not every single person, not every owner is going to be the same. You try to figure out how you make it work, and so that I want them to be happy, and we need to be happy.
Okay.
So that's the way.
So let's revisit the golf cart question and issue. And what advice do you give your clients on whether they should or shouldn't or are willing to allow their golf cart to be used as part of the property?
The first tenant that I had at my mother's house, which was just last December. It was a used golf cart, but it was brand new for me. And, and so they wrecked it. They were there for four days, and they completely totaled the golf cart and didn't tell us until I think the day after or when they were checking out. So it was after they were checking out. So it was a learning experience for me to go through. I, of course, had golf cart insurance. I have my own golf cart at my house. Great insurance company that I had. I pushed it through. They paid for the amount that I had paid for the golf cart. I also went back to the person who was staying there, the guest, and showed him, I gave him all the paperwork of how much it was worth. It was worth more than they paid out, than I had actually paid for it. There was a salvage value, et cetera. And I got a few more $1,000 from him. I didn't take the full amount because I had been reimbursed.
He gave you that willingly, or did you have to actually serve him with some sort of legal?
I did not serve him.
Okay.
It was pretty amicable,
and
but
most
it was not a fun process, but it was a learning process. And then, just to know that this particular company that I have, how quickly they went through that process with me. And, most people don't really read their insurance policies.
Right.
Until something like that happens,
Right.
and then you read it.
Yeah.
And then you kind of understand it a little bit more.
So what advice do you give your clients then when they tell you, what should I do here?
So if you had asked me the day that it happened, it would be different than it is today. So that's kind of a trick question. But
90-day.
so it
We
didn't
want to
happen.
know. We want to know going forward. What do you recommend? Yeah.
It's totally up to them.
Yes,
Yes.
If
and
they asked you, you'd say, well, here's my experience, right?
yes,
So it is it would
Well,
be
it's
a
what's
It's a hassle.
what is their tolerance level?
yeah. I
Do
think-
they have the tolerance to go through this? Because it is very stressful.
Sure.
It is a lot. And then it also comes down on us too, because Teresa makes a lot of those phone calls. Because if a guest, aside from golf carts, if a guest comes and they break something and they're through Airbnb, there is a process with air coverage that we can go back to them and say, you broke this and this is what it costs. And it'll take time to come to a resolution. But most of the time, we document everything ahead of time too. We take tons of pictures before the guest checks in, and then we do an inspection as soon as they check out. That's one way that we help protect our homeowners. We have a 24-hour answering service. So whether it's Teresa answering the phone, or we have Pat that answers the phone as well. So it's pretty cool. When you call, you're getting a live person at Village Valet. You're not being put through an automated press 1, press 2, press 3. No, you're getting to a live person.
Does your website allow booking online?
Yes, and we are in the process of making modifications to our website to make it more attractive. So right now it's in a little under construction phase, but you can still go on there and it pops up right in the beginning, even on your phone. It says book now, and then it takes you to our platform that you can book directly. And that's where you get the best deals.
Very cool.
Sounds like you're
I'm honest with them. I said, it is difficult. It's going to fluctuate. You will have weeks of vacancy during the summertime, but we are doing our best to get your property out there on many avenues to be available and be competitive in pricing, because we look at that stuff too. But it's not going to be like you think it is, where you're going to just be sitting here and saying booking, 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 booking. So we have to manage those expectations.
You don't want to overpromise and underdeliver in a business like this.
Correct. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So raise your glass, even though he's not the best, but at least he made the top 5. Thanks to him.
What sort of is a unique service that your organization provides that your competition doesn't? Is there such a thing?
Well, they don't have Teresa, who is my first impression specialist, because she is amazing on the phone with the guest. I swear, sometimes we have conversations that I'm like, Teresa, that is more than above the top request. Like, I cannot allow that. But
I'm really,
she's
really
always there
nice.
advocating for the guest. So you could probably have hundreds of examples of things that you've done. The vacuum. Oh, my goodness. She
Well-
delivered a vacuum at 8:45 at night to a guest that was upset that they couldn't vacuum on
That
their
day.
vacation
Yeah,
that
that
day.
day.
So she went to Walmart, got this vacuum, and delivered it. Actually, we did 2 vacuum deliveries this week.
Well, we
I'm serious.
strive to
Wow.
get excellent reviews from those who stay with us. We want them to share how well they felt taken care of, so they come back next year and bring all their friends.
So now if somebody wants to rent a place down here or a weekend, they get a hold of you, and then what do you guys do?
Give us a call. We can then send out options after we get your specifications, what type of house, 3222, what area you might be interested in, whether or not you have pets, lots of little details that are important. And then once we know those, I can link you up with some of our options, and or we can guide you to the website and you can peruse through all of our inventory.
We have 49 active properties that are available to rent.
Wow, that's a lot of properties. Now, are they? Do people want to rent south, middle, or north, or doesn't it? Is there any preference?
I think that there's possibly a preference for the middle. I see a big spike, I think, with like Sumter Landing proximity, but they like Brownwood as well. So still kind of the middle. Preference is kind of coming in at the middle.
Now, how long have you guys been doing this, helping people find homes and property management?
I've been in the industry, this niche short-term industry for about 8-9 years, coming from corporate housing out of Orlando and Tampa, but now here in the Villages, which is even more niche with the single-family homes and a demographic that's very homogenous.
So
It is-
so how do you, what's some of the screening that you do of potential customers that they come to you and say, I'm looking for a 3-2? How do you screen the potential customers?
Such a good question. We have basically a screening process that's called Super Hog. I'm not really sure where it got its name, but Know Your Guest, and it's a kind of a light screening for booking histories to see if you've treated other properties well in your booking past. That kind of stuff. Basically, driver's license, you are who you say you are. Just some basic stuff.
They have to do a live photo and it has to match up with their driver's license.
Yeah.
So there's an identity verification there. So we're not having those problems too.
And if you find any small deviations on the application, do you boot them, or do you say, hey, did you write down your birth date wrong or something like that? I don't know what a good
We
example
can
would be.
certainly do a deeper inquiry, but if they have a poor history, and if it's significant enough, then we're going to decline them.
Gotcha. Okay. So the flip side of that, is there any screening? Say I'm a homeowner and I come to you, I want you to manage my house and rent it out, and these are the months I'd like it rented out. Is there a screening of a homeowner?
Do we do any sort of background check on the homeowner?
Yeah.
And we do kind of do more public record searches to make sure they are the person who owns the home. We check the deeds. We'll do little background checks to see if there's any liens, check with the county records and things like that. Checks.
Yeah, where I was going with that, and the reason I asked it is I've heard of squatters coming down, getting into a house because they somehow know it's empty or whatever. And let's say they try to get you, hey, rent to me, or rent for me, and pay me that $3 or $4 grand, and then I vamoose or whatever. That's why I was looking to see how you verify someone's the actual owner of the house, or if you verify. So it makes sense.
Well, what's nice about, since 99% of our homes, 98% of our homes are Villages homes, they have to turn over that Village ID to give their guest access to the amenities. So that's another built-in verification for us that they are who they say they are, because that ID physically goes to the Villages, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. The homeowner is going to relinquish temporarily their access to the amenities so that the guest is able to utilize them while they're present or in the home.
Well, what if a homeowner purchases a rental and they want you to manage their rental? Then how does that affect the cards?
Same way.
And same way?
Same way. They then keep their cards for their home, and they turn over the cards for the rental property.
Okay.
And we do have quite a people that do that as well.
Okay, yeah.
So for the most part, how many people would you deny, let's say in January, February, and March? That's the high months where you can't find them a home.
A lot, because we're short homes, because during those 3 months,
You're right.
solid. We're booked solid.
We've actually started booking. We started booking in January of 24 for 25.
And that's
So,
common. That's common
yeah.
for any property management.
Mm-hmm.
So raise your glass, even though he's not the best, but at least he made the top 5. Thanks to him, we've got...
We're back with Chrissy's here to join us from Villages Valet. So now I'm a homeowner, and we've already talked about how to a person to find a home for you. I want to rent my house. I call you up. What are you going to do for me?
Well, initially we go over there and talk about how we would operate on a daily basis, and we start compromising. They tell us what they would prefer. I feel like we stand apart from a lot of places because we do the individual preferences.
Okay.
So you tell us what you're comfortable with and we accommodate it. And then once we have an agreement down, then I will go into the house and I take photos and edit and create a profile. And I install remote locks and I can keep contact of all of the comings and goings within the house. We do take a percentage. The remote lock itself is a cost, but
Sure.
everything else that I've done is included in
Okay,
that.
so I will have to pay for the remote lock. Okay, and then
Are you going to include a golf cart with that?
Oh,
yes.
yes.
Okay.
Most
Okay.
of our houses come
That's a
with golf
$50
carts.
upcharge as well. That question.
We do have a document that is signed by the homeowner and the guest that is to protect the homeowner.
Mm-hmm.
Granted, depending on the situation, it could become a lengthy process, but
Mm-hmm.
protected nonetheless.
Well, you should absolutely have additional insurance because it's an investment property. You have to think of it that way. So when you're using your home as a business, that changes the whole dynamic of your insurance. So we always recommend to them to contact their insurance agent and discuss that with them because they're the professionals. But that is one thing we go over. And especially with the golf carts, we are now highly recommending them that they all have uninsured motorist insurance on their golf carts.
And some people just flat out are not comfortable with it, and the golf cart might still be on the property, but it is not for guest use.
So now if a guest wanted a golf cart, but the owner would not allow it, do you work with a company that rents golf carts, or do you have a?
We recommend, but we do not have somebody that we specifically work with for renting right now.
Most of the time, our first thing to go to is say, call the Village Golf Cars, and they'll get you hooked up because they have the largest availability of golf carts. And then I have 2 other people that I recommend, but most of the time their golf carts are booked months in advance. But I try to give them at least 2 options to go with to rent.
And
I
fees?
listen to the homeowner to see what they are wanting out of it initially. You know, some of them want to cover their mortgage. Some of them don't care. Just get it booked. You know, so it really depends. So we have that conversation, but ultimately it really depends on the time of the year, how close we are getting and approaching those vacant dates. You know,
Sure.
so we play around with it to get it filled.
One thing that makes us unique is we try to treat each property as its own individual personality. So this house here might allow an open cabinet policy where every supply that they have is open for guest use. They supply the coffee, the K-cups. Some of them even leave beer out in the little mini fridge. And that's their choice, and that's how they want to rent their property. Where other people, it might be, no, give them the minimum. Give them enough for 48 hours, and then they're on their own. But that's their choice, so we honor that.
And you let the renter
Yeah, that's all
know,
communicated.
hey, this is what you're going to get when you
Yep.
get here.
Right.
Okay. That's really nice.
Standardized, we will supply guests with approximately 2 to 3 days worth of supplies, and then they can go shopping and get their own. But like she said, some of the homeowners will just provide everything, so it really depends.
Sure.
So you talked about some owners just put a lot of their personal stuff that they don't want stuff used by a potential tenant. And so, but if they put it in a bedroom, then that 3-2 now becomes a 2-2, right?
Correct. And is advertised as such.
Okay. All right.
You know, typically what I do is when I install that remote lock for the front door access, I will swap out the door handle with a closet
Okay.
because the door handle on the front door typically has a lock and I don't want the guests accidentally locking themselves out, which will then turn that into my supply closet.
Gotcha. Okay.
We have a couple that will turn an entire room into it. I guess it just depends on how much stuff they're trying
Right.
to store, but typically it's just a little closet.
Right. So I have one more nightmare question for you.
Okay. Hit me.
Let's say the owner will allow small dogs, only 25 pounds. And a week after or let's say the day the people go in and they have like a 75-pound dog. Do you guys do anything about that? Do you intervene and say, wait?
You know, technically we would go over there and motivate them to relocate.
Yeah.
I mean,
Or they would have to
And
pay
that-
a fine.
And that's what I would expect some sort of action
right.
as a
And
homeowner.
if they are under Super Hog, we can actually go through a process of filing a claim against them. Because if they bring a pet without knowledge, then that is covered under that.
Gotcha. Perfect. Wait, we're not done. No, we're not done. Don't forget.
We're done.
I
Don't,
love
no,
the
we're not
Lanai
done.
Gossip.
We're-
I think
no, we're
that's-
not done.
When did y'all start
wanted
this?
the night talk, but someone had already taken it from the website.
I like Gossip better.
Well, I'm trying to get him to focus. Scott. Hey, squirrel. Yeah. You got to tell people to like the video
You're right.
and subscribe.
If you all
And then
enjoyed this
subscribe.
interview with Village Valet and our
YouTube?
owner, Aimee O'Ketty,
Yeah.
please like and subscribe to Lanai Gossip.
And go on to Village Valet if you would like to do some rentals down in the villages or you would like to have an investment property and make some bucks.
Villagevalet.net.
352-469-1446. And that's villagevalet.net.
Thanks to him, we've got the best league to play in. It's not a boast, just a toast to number 5.